specifically, if you remember, Wayne, he went for a 12-11. A 12-11 specifically is Giga all in. He was down to 11 drones, and ByuN had 25. Like, Wayne had less than half the worker count of ByuN. Wayne, even though they were both on one base, Wayne had still had, like, didn't even have full base saturation in his main. Specifically, the 12-11 is just very all-in, and it's very, very difficult to transition out of it. So Wayne, I guess, technically could have tried to expand and drone, but it would have been a very uphill battle. So specifically, when it comes to the build that Wayne decided to go for, it's nigh impossible to transition out of it if you don't do any economic damage. But here we go. We're getting into this, and spawning in the top left-hand corner of Gress Farm, we have the South Korean Zerg player representing CranKy Gaming. It is last night's ESL Open Cup Asia champion. It is Dark. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Terran representing Shopify Rebellion. It is ByuN. I need to throw down the coping emote. Where is it? There we go. As we're getting into this, and again, Dark and ByuN, they are good friends, are just bantering with each other. Unfortunately, I am not fluent in Korean, so if we have any Korean speakers in the chat, translations would be appreciated. Would appreciate the translations. I also just realized, so usually we have a Korean caster, and the Korean caster that we have does translate for us. But this week, a little bit unfortunate, we don't have one. We don't have Maddox or Into the Inu. So no Korean casters for this week's ESL Americas. Bit of a shame, bit of a shame. Oh my god. As I just realized what was happening. So ByuN going for a very different opener here, and we saw a lot of this last night as well. ByuN just mixing things up. He's going for a CC first. This was a CC first into a 2-rack. So very greedy, very economic here. Is not going to be punished, as we do see Dark going in for a scout. But I love that the 2-racks are on the high ground. Oh my god, as it's going to be a CC into these racks, into an add-on first, into a reactor before any kind of Reaper or Marine. So ByuN is cutting a lot of corners. Now, Darky scouts. He sees the CC on the low ground, which means this looks like a Rax opener. Little does he know how greedy ByuN is being behind this. Meanwhile, Dark is just going for a hatch gas pool into a third base. Into a third, just going to be droning up and focusing on himself for the time being. The other greedy thing here from ByuN is that he didn't SCV scout. No SCV scout, obviously no Reaper scout either. The Ling is going to confirm, though, does get eyes on everything here in the main base. Obviously aware that there's no units, and he's going to try to punish ByuN for it. But the Marines arrive, and behind this, it isn't a 2-1-1. I assume this would be a setup for a 2-1-1. It's a 4-rax. It's going to be a 4-rax here from ByuN. He has 2 more raxes on the way. Plenty of add-ons as well. An abundance of Marines. This is going to hit hard. This is going to hit fast. This is going to hit before we have medevacs, before we have a factory. Withstood. And it's going to be on a Dark to realize what's happening. If he doesn't, if he drones up too much, then Dark can just die. So he has to be very careful moving forward, as the overlords are spreading out throughout the bases. Creep also being spread here as well. And yeah, from here we do see Dark just establishing himself in his side of the map. Roach Warren is on the way. It is going to be Dark's, his bread and butter. His comfort zone is the Roach. And Roaches can definitely help here defensively. Again, as long as Dark is able to read what's going on. He does have an Overlord parked outside the natural, so he will see the move out. He will see those Marines as they do move out across the map. And here we go. Stim is a couple of seconds away from finishing. We are up to 23, or soon about to be 28 Marines. And I love this. He's keeping the bulk of his Marines hidden here as he scans and he shuts down the Overlord. Oh boy. Dark, he only knows a piece of the puzzle. Now, scanning here is really sus. That was a very suspicious scan, because why would you invest so much in killing an Overlord? It has to be to hide a push, and Dark is getting ready. Oh, he supply blocked. Brutal supply block for Dark. The Marines are arriving, and what do we have to defend? We have 3 Roaches. We have a couple more. Queens are being brought to the front lines as well. But this supply block was brutal. But we have a concave, and it looks like Dark doesn't have enough to defend. The Marines, they stim on forward. They focus on the first Queen. The Roaches, and this is snowballing out of control. Dark will lose everything. He does have 15 Roaches in production. Again, if it wasn't for the supply block, he would have had so much more. As ByuN is diving into the main base, he still hasn't killed too many workers. We do have a couple more Roaches coming out. Can Dark clean this up? It's going to be so close. Up, ByuN, he's focusing down the drones. He's trying to get some economic damage done. Whew. 6 drones go down. Dark barely holds on. He has weathered the storm. Any lesser player, any lesser Zerg player would have died then and there, but Dark did not give up. He kited all the way back to his main. He survives. He has a decent economy. He has a big Roach army. Roach speed is about to kick in. Meanwhile, ByuN has a second wave. He has a second wave of Marines. Third base just now gets thrown down. Now, what's important to bear in mind about F4X? This is a very committed build that we just saw from ByuN, and it had to do economic damage. And it did. It did get some worker kills, but we need more. The reason why we need so much, the reason why we need to accomplish so much, is because this third base is very delayed. There's a very late third from ByuN, so he needs to do more damage here. He needs to cripple the economy of Dark. There is a lot of pressure on ByuN to make something happen, and here we go. We have Marines being sent out towards the south. We have a double drop going into the main. Roaches are in position. Oh, but is it going to be enough? ByuN is looking to overwhelm. He's looking to overpower. Roaches are going down. The Queen as well. Oh, and we can see ByuN even getting a couple of drones here towards the south. I do think he's done enough at this point. Looking at the units lost tab here. ByuN, he got 18 Roaches, 6 Queens, and 8 drones. And now he can establish this third. ByuN has a pretty comparable economy to that of Dark. He's down in workers, but, I mean, the Zerg player typically does have to be ahead just because of mules. And Dark isn't ahead enough. I do think, actually, at this point, ByuN has a better economy than Dark. And he's looking to really flex that here. Yeah, he can even trade well against these Roaches. One Roach does go down. Ooh, he's going to chase down a couple more. Again, a pretty good trade here from ByuN. Even gets an Overlord as well. Focuses down a couple more Roaches before he's forced to pick up. At the same time, we have another double drop into the main base. But Dark was waiting for it. Does clean it up. But again, I would still say that Dark is... he's barely holding on. Here comes the follow-up push here from ByuN, this time with tanks. Plenty of Marines. Boy, and we just don't really have too much creep spread at all here in the center of the map. Dark is trying to muster up an army. Oof, yeah, this is too much. The tank volleys go off. A lot of Roaches go down. And ByuN is snowballing out of control. We have Ravagers in production. Can Dark buy enough time for all this to kick in? Oh, he's going to pile down one of those tanks. But ByuN is not stopping. He's leapfrogging forward here with the rest. A lot of volleys are going off. You can see Dark trying to dive on them. And it looks like he's going to get one more tank for his troubles. Sorry, 2 more actually. Ooh, big piles on the Metamax. Dark, he's holding. He's barely holding on, but again, ByuN isn't done. We have more reinforcements coming in. We have a double drop heading towards the main. Dark with 2-2 on the way. If he's given a little bit more time, then he will be able to build up enough of an army to actually contest against this. Queens are in position. Does deflect the push. Does deflect the drop, sorry. Dark is slowly stabilizing here. And not just stabilizing, he's getting on top of the tanks. Another is going to go down. Another two go down. A good trade for Dark. Oof. Oh god, but we have the Marines coming in from behind, and they get on top of the Ravagers, and it looks like, despite getting all those tanks, Dark, he loses so many Ravagers. Very expensive losses here for Dark. Infestors are on the way, but I believe, yep, there is no pathogen glands. So even though the Infestors are about to come out, they will not have enough energy for Fungals. Vials do connect. What's keeping Dark in this is every single time they fight, he takes down 1-2 tanks. Because the tank count has been reset every single time, he's able to stop ByuN from snowballing. And Dark does survive. Behind this, ByuN is getting a 4th, fully operational. He has, again, an even base count with his opponent. Dark trying to saturate this 5th. But the Hive is now done. Vipers are on the way. Dark, he's incorporating quite a lot of spellcasters. And they will kind of do a great job at supporting his Rotor-based army and giving it a little bit more complexity. Oh, a big fungal on the Marines! And with that, Dark does take a good trade. Did lose an Infestor for it, unfortunately, but did clean up the drop. And I do think that Dark, he's made it through the worst. He's made it through the worst of it. Now he's actually saturating the center base. He's expanding, taking a 6th base. Vipers have hit the field. 3-3 on the horizon. The game is settling. The game is stabilizing. As I say that, ByuN is still being very active though with these drops, and he does force a cancel on the 6th. He's doing a great job at keeping Dark busy while he's working on his own 5th base. Behind this, ByuN just being very bio-heavy as well. So even though Gressman is known for being a very defensive map that you can cut in half, especially with, you know, the tanks in position and the sensor towers, ByuN, he isn't really going too heavily into tank production. We have mines on the way, Marines. ByuN, he wants to be very active on the map instead, which I appreciate. But it does mean that the way that ByuN plays is on a knife's edge. It means that if ByuN does take a bad fight, he doesn't have a lot at home to defend. You know, he doesn't have a strong tank line. So ByuN does have to be careful. Dark sharking around, looking for a better angle of attack. It does come across the army. It does take down a lot of those mines. And this is going to be really awkward here for ByuN, as he's being pushed onto creep. Mines are going to be going off, and yeah, Dark is looking to engage. The Banelings are having a hard time connecting. Vipers don't want to overextend. As, yeah, this was a really awkward fight for ByuN, and he does bleed out a lot of units. Does trade well against the Ling Bane, though, overall. Does clean up a lot of them. But as all that's been happening, Dark, he has now drone up to 76. Maxed out here on Ling Bane, and a lot of Banelings are being set up here to deny these fringe bases. Dark does overextend towards the south. He's losing a lot of Roach Ravager, but we got a lot of Banelings rolling on in. We have 3 CCs on the way, but they are not going to finish. Oh, as the Planetary does go down, the Mineral Line as well. That is, oh my god, kills, not cancels on those Planetaries or on those CCs. At the same time, ByuN is focusing on his push. He gets 1 hatchery, but that pales in comparison to the 3 bases that he just lost. Over 1,000 minerals down the drain. Now, he is getting the center base up and running, so at least he has that going for him. It's not a planetary though, it is an orbital. A greedy move here from ByuN. But definitely something that ByuN has to do. He needs the extra mules, especially after losing a base. Meanwhile, good tank positioning here from ByuN. Dark getting ready to come in from behind. He's looking to sandwich this position. Both players are maxed. ByuN does have a super maxed army, especially after losing so many workers. Here we go. Big mine shot. Massive connection on those lings. Meanwhile, Dark, he's not surrounding the army. He's going for a counterattack instead. And because this base isn't a planetary, these lings are doing a lot of damage. They are doing so much. The lings, they barely don't take down that tank. As we do see ByuN actually out trading Dark here. Dark, he lost so many lings across the map, he just didn't get enough. But maybe I spoke too soon. Up! No reaction! The mineral line goes down. Oof. ByuN stuck on a 3-base economy. Doesn't have a 5th. Doesn't have a 4th mining. But what he does have is an army. You can see the army supply. He is up to 133 army supply. Jesus. Dark will not be able to mine. He will not be able to mine from that center base. ByuN pushing on through. At this point, ByuN is kind of forced all in. Like, he's down to 48 SCVs. 47. ByuN, he has to end the game with this army. And he can. What's worrisome, though, is he has a lot of supply back at home. He has a lot of supply here towards the south. It means that this center army is that much weaker, and Dark, he could collapse on this. So I am concerned that maybe ByuN is just sticking around a little bit too long. There it is. The final tank will fall. That was the last tank of ByuN. He does have another army here towards the north, and it looks like he's going to be forcing another cancel on this hatchery. He could force a kill. What's going on? Massive mine shot does go off on the lings. That was a cancel on that northern base. And Dark repositioning back at home. Is actually committing to the attack, though. The lings are getting on top of the army. The Hydra's not slowing down. We have lings also just rushing into that center base. ByuN, he can't afford to lose his economy. He barely has one to begin with. Despite how aggressive ByuN has been. Dark with these run-bys, with these counterattacks, just crippling the economy here of ByuN. Slowing him down enough. He picks up his main. He's landing it here as his 5th. That's how desperate ByuN is right now. Only orbitals. I mean, he's milling, you know, he's milling quite heavily here, taking advantage of that. With this, he's able to max out. And again, he has a terrifying army. Terrifying bio army, I should say. And Dark has recognized that. He's got more infestors for fungals. He's got vipers for blinding clouds. And look, we're getting ready for those fungals, or we could even try to neural as well. Never mind, neural is not researched. That won't be available for Dark. And here we go. Decent Baneling connection already here for Dark. He wants ByuN to push in. He's waiting with those infestors, waiting with those fungals. If ByuN ever gets caught on creep with a fungal, then he's going to lose everything. Meanwhile, we even have some borrowed banelings. Oh my god, that's a lot of marauders. Jesus! That's almost a pure marauder army. He has more marauders than marines. And here we go, the infestor coming in from behind. We will land a massive fungal, but I don't think we have enough to really capitalize on that. The fungal will scare ByuN away. And Dark needs to remax. He needs time. 40 Lings in production. Lurker Den is done. God, ByuN's army is just so beefy. It's so thick. Bungles aren't enough to really shut down these Marauders. Let's see, we have 23 Marauders at this point. Did lose a lot in that attack. Speaking of, Ling Rambai is going to pull back the attention here of these reinforcements. Ooh, ByuN pulling back a lot, actually. Even going to be forcing a scan. Meanwhile, here on the left-hand side, we're looking for that fungal, and it will kind of connect. Oh, big connection with that Baneling. Well, ByuN, he's rotating over towards the south. Yeah, but Dark is collapsing on this, and it looks like he does have more than enough to shut down this army. Big fungal. There is no escaping. There is no running away. As only a handful of Marauders survive. At the same time, there's still Lings keeping supply pinned back. The drop towards the north doesn't find any damage at all. And ByuN has run out of steam. ByuN doesn't have the best economy right now. He's down to 40 workers. He's trying to land another orbital. Earlier, ByuN, he had a super maxed army, but he's kind of lost that advantage. He's been bleeding out too much, and we can see that reflected in the overall supplies as Dark is just getting out of control. But this was a close game. This was very close. We saw earlier, Dark almost died. He straight up almost died to the 4-axe. It was almost over then and there. And we have a massive Lurker counterattack. The Ghost, though, they're in position. Oof. A big fungal on said Ghost. A lot of them are going to be going down. The orbital is going to fall. This is going to be an expensive trade for Dark. He loses every single Lurker. But they didn't trade too poorly, and they create an opening here for the rest of the reinforcements. Planetary is looking to burn down. We have a lot of mines. We have a massive minefield set up. The Vipers! The Vipers, no! No! Oof. Big connection. Doesn't quite take them down, though. As ByuN, if ByuN is able to somehow get this base up and running, if he's able to mine, then maybe he can come back. But he's hurting. He's running out of mineral patches. God, the minefield is insane. We can see Dark slowly working through it. Does take down a bunch of those Widow Mines. Oh, it does get sniped, though. God, there are mines everywhere. This is so frustrating to deal with. I imagine it would be frustrating to deal with. As if a Lurker being caught out of position is going to go down. Dark, likewise. I've been talking a lot about the economic situation here of ByuN, as he makes another orbital, by the way. But likewise, Dark also doesn't have an amazing economy either. He is down to only a handful of drones. 62. But this base is so vulnerable. I mean, the bases in general are very vulnerable to Ling run-bys, just because there are no planetaries. We'll see if Dark is able to take advantage of that, as he's going to be sending out a couple of Lings. The Widow Mines have been deterring run-bys for a long time. We see Dark rotating over. Sorry, ByuN rotating over. He's aware, of course, that these bases are vulnerable. He has to look after them. This base is getting up and running. You can see ByuN, he is closing the gap in the supplies. He's remaxing successfully. He can take a fight. And here we go. Dark just getting ready for that assault. How many Lurkers do we have? We have a handful of Lurkers available. Vipers as well. god, these mine shots not quite getting the connections that they really want. Let's see if Dark can collapse on this. He does have the option for potentially a surround as well. Big snipes go up on those queens. Oof, yeah, Dark taking another massive mine to the face. These Widow Mines, they've been keeping ByuN in this, to be honest. They've been such a thorn in Dark's side. And here we go. We see ByuN in a way out-positioning some of these spellcasters. Takes down one of those queens, or is attempting to. Oh, the transfuse. The transfuse is keeping it alive. And Dark, he's going for a wider angle of attack here. He's looking for a surround without any of those Widow Mines coming into play. Oh, doesn't quite find it. And not the best angle, but we do have a massive fungal. Do we have enough Banelings though? That I'm not so sure. Yeah, we do. The Banelings, they will connect. The fungals were insane. And just like that, ByuN loses the majority of his army. He's going to be pushing through with those ghosts. Solid snipes coming out. And it looks like a lot of these lurkers are going down. But ByuN is running out of steam. Oof. Running out of units. God, how many mines do we have here? Jesus. Do we have detection? We have one overseer, and it's here towards the south. Jesus, the mines, they take down some lunkers as well. Speaking of, they're going to be shut down. These mines are going to reset. We need overseers. They're on the way. They're coming. And this is still really scrappy. Really scrappy here between these two players. This base really paying off for ByuN. Here we are. As Dark does threaten an attack. ByuN still fighting on a knife's edge. If he does take a fungal to the face, he may just lose everything. Even some friendly fire from that Widow Mine. Meanwhile, a massive shout out to Dave Tester. I hope you enjoyed your broadcast. I know that you were also streaming and casting some ESL Open Cup Americas. So I hope you had a great time. Hope you had a great stream. Welcome, everyone. Welcome. ByuN is rotating around. This time we do have detection. And one of the Widow Mines does get picked off. And I can't believe, but yeah, like both players are slowly remaxing once again. ByuN getting the southern base up and running. He's still in this. God, these infestors, they look so exposed. One good EMP is all it takes, and up! Oh, we are going to connect with those fungals instead. EMP is just a little bit too late. Oof. What's that? 3-4 ghosts do go down. At the same time, a Ling Rambai does break through the minefield. Not too many SCVs to harass, but SCVs are going to be going down. These bases are running out of patches. As the run by does get economic damage, you do see ByuN just sending everything through the center of the map. He's just sending it, Papi. Dark is going to rotate over with those lurkers. Ugh, massive volleys are going off. Big fungals as well. And ByuN loses everything. GG gets called. Dark will take game number 1. Whew. But that was a hard-fought battle. That was a hard-fought game. If you recall, Dark had a rough start. Straight up almost died to the 4-axe. And after that, he almost died to the follow-up as well. He was barely holding on against the bio-tank push of ByuN. Oof. But at a certain point, Dark was able to stabilize. He was able to trade well enough against the tanks. He was able to force ByuN to back the hell off. And Dark was able to get up to that 75-ish worker count, max out, be the aggressor. And really, the turns tabled when ByuN lost all of his CCs. If you remember, there was a big bailing run by that killed 3 bases. Killed a planetary and 2 orbitals as well. And after that happened, ByuN was on the back foot. He was really struggling to establish those bases, and as a result, we never saw a planetary after that. That was the one and only planetary of the game. From that moment, because ByuN was behind, just constant orbitals, constant muling as well. Just squeezing out as much as he could out of those bases, and we had a pretty intense game. It was on a knife's edge. For the most part, like, Dark did have a lead, of course, after the mid-game. He was ahead, but ByuN was really making Dark work for it, and had some pretty close moments. Very close moments, but there we go. Dark will take a lead in this series, and now we're getting into game number 2. Catching up in the chat. This old man is tired. Fair enough, fair enough. Get some rest, Dave. Get some rest. Special versus Cure was sick. Oh, right. Of course, for those wondering, check out Dave Tesla. He's another fellow caster, and he was covering the upper semifinals match, which I guess was Cure versus Special. So I hope you enjoyed yourself. Hope you guys had a great time, as the winner of the series moves on to the grand finals to face off against the winner of Cure and Special. Here we go, spawning in the top right hand corner of Royal Blood, we have the South Korean Zerg player representing DragonKy Gaming, leading the series 1-0. It is Dark. And spawning in the bottom left hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Terran representing Shopify Rebellion. It is ByuN. But again, that was a crazy game. that game number 1. Oh god, the roller coaster ride of emotions, back and forth. Initially, Dark at death's door, clawed his way back in, and now we're getting into game. Of course, game 1 also had a really wild opener. To bring it back for those who maybe weren't there for it, the opener of ByuN was CC first. It was a CC first into 2 Raxes on the high ground, which were hidden, of course, to Dark, into a 2-base 4-Rax build. Meanwhile, this time we have the ByuN opener, the 2 Raxes on the low ground, and a 3rd Rax in the main. This is Mass Reaper. There's another variation here of the 2 Rax opener from ByuN. Very aggressive, designed to snowball out of control, designed to contain the Zerg player to 2 bases. This isn't all in, bear that in mind. You can expand behind this, you can transition, but it is very committed. And ByuN is, of course, going to be hoping to get some damage done and to hold on to those Reapers for as long as he can. Now, a very important scout from Dark. He is dipping into the main, and his first Overlord, even though he doesn't see the Raxes on the low ground, he sees a Rax already done in the main. That is a massive tell. That already does give Dark so much information as to what ByuN is up to. First Reaper arrives. We can see Dark, he did stay in gas. He's going to be staying on 2 bases as well, which is the correct choice, the correct call. Dark will be delaying his 3rd in favor of additional queens of a much more solid defense here on 2 bases. Again, if Dark had gone for his 3rd base at a regular time, then he may have just straight up lost his 3rd, just because of the mass amount of Reapers that are about to hit the field. Likewise, Dark, because he stayed in gas, he gets very fast laying speed, and as a result, he'll be able to maintain control of the map a lot faster as well. Now, 1 drone is going to be going down. The Reapers of ByuN checking for the 3rd, they confirm that it is not there. And ByuN is transitioning. He is expanding behind this. We have continued Reaper production, of course, designed to keep Dark contained to 2 bases for as long as possible. and maybe even get a queen. It's going to be the goal here for ByuN. Link speed is about to kick in. And link speed will help when it comes to minimizing losses. Dark doesn't have enough links to actually surround this and collapse on these Reapers, so we'll see if Dark does make a massive amount of lings or if he continues droning. There we go. Lings are now in production. The Reapers here of ByuN sharking around. Again, containing Dark is all he has to really do. Getting any worker kills or queens is a bonus, as he's able to shave off some of those lings. And behind this, we have the factory on the way. Low ground CC about to kick in. Oh, that's a lot of tumors. So we throw down a massive line of tumors. We have a massive amount of lings as well. Dark looking for the surround. ByuN is looking to use this terrain here to his advantage as he's able to avoid the surround for the most part, but he does get pinned in. Oof. And every Reaper is going to go down. Oh, one escapes. One barely does live to tell the tale. But a big cleanup, and that means that Dark can expand. He's able to expand and get his third up and running. We can see he's looking even to hunt down that Reaper. Does find it, but it does escape. Meanwhile, because Dark was contained to 2 bases for so long, he's double expanding. He's taking his third and his fourth at the same time. We have an Evo chamber for +1 carapace. Reaper finally goes down, and Dark can macro from this point. Likewise, ByuN has a pretty comparable economy as well. We have an even worker count and an even base count, so at the moment ByuN is ahead, but these hatcheries are soon about to kick in, and they're going to help Dark just kind of alleviate all of that and get into a more comfortable position. Now behind this, we haven't just been, expanding and taking up, we've been building up a bioforce. ByuN, he has a lot of Marines available. Stim is done. Combat Shields is on the way. I believe ByuN should be waiting for these medevacs, but he's ByuN, and something that he likes to do is move out before the medevacs and actually have the medevacs meet up with him as he's across the map, just so we can hit that much faster. It's risky because these Marines are very vulnerable, but only for a couple of seconds, and here we go. Medevacs are boosting out to meet up with the army. And the goal here from ByuN, deny the third. Or I guess we can call this the fourth. Deny one of these bases, look for economic damage. Again, he has a lot of Marines available. Lings are going for a bit of a counterattack, but alas, the wall is a wall. Hatchery is going to take a lot of hits. Dark not in position. Oof, and this is going to be a very efficient trade from ByuN. He takes down the Lings, he takes down the Queens. This is snowballing out of control. And this may just snowball into a victory here. Every Queen just went down. The mineral line has to be evacuated. The positioning here is insane. Evo chamber falls as well. This is already just an insane amount of damage. Dark wasn't ready for it, and yeah, GG. GG gets called. ByuN will take game number 2, tying up the series 1-1. GG. Dark unfortunately didn't have an Overlord or a Ling or anything to see the army move out. As we saw, Dark, he had Lings across the map and some Lings back at home. He didn't have everything together. He needed to consolidate his army to go toe-to-toe with ByuN, not just his Lings, but every single Queen as well. Without it, we saw that Dark was picked apart. Oof. And GG. GG. We have an ace match. Again, when we're dealing with ByuN, like the early game, it's so on a knife's edge. It's so precise. One wrong move, and that's it. That's game. Like you can't allow this to snowball out of control, or to start to snowball, because it does get out of control. And game 3 is going to be taking place on Neo-Humanity. Darky so hoy. Oh, what does that mean? Aye. Here we go as we are getting into the ace match. And spawning. In the top left-hand corner, we have the South Korean Zerg player representing CranKy Gaming. Oh, having a rough time there in that second game, looking to bring it back. It is Dark. And spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the South Korean Terran representing Shopify Rebellion, tying up the series 1-1 in that last game, looking for revenge for last night. It is ByuN. As we did say earlier, this is a rematch. Last night we were live with ESL Open Cup Asia, and ByuN and Dark, they faced off in the grand finals. They faced off in a best of 5, and Dark did win. Dark did defeat ByuN last night, but now it's, what, 10 hours later? Oh, no, not quite 10. I would say like maybe 12-ish hours later from that point, from the grand finals last night, and yeah, ByuN, he is fighting back. Can he get his revenge? Can he take down Dark? So far, standard opener. Interesting. There's a lot going on. Okay, so Dark goes for a hatch gas pool. What's interesting is that recently, it's been very common for Dark to go gasless. He's been going for gasless openers on this map quite commonly, which means you delay your gas, you go for a faster third base, you go for faster queen production. It's been really interesting to see. But this time he's going to be stepping away from that. He's going for a hatch gas pool, a much more standard opener, safer opener instead. Across the map, ByuN going for a racks expand, no low ground 2 racks, no shenanigans. Everything here is on the up and up between both players. So after a very chaotic game 1 and game 2, everything is settling down here in game 3. Things are settling down as much as they can. ByuN is cutting corners. Once again, no SCV Scout. No SCV Scout across the map. He's also skipping his Reaper as well, going Marine first. So ByuN, he's not really too concerned with what his opponent is doing, which can be a risky thing. Dark, he is known for roach rushing and going for early spawning pools. But ByuN is rolling the dice, and he's rolling the dice correctly, as he doesn't really have anything to worry about. He doesn't know that, but of course we can see that Dark isn't quite going for anything too aggressive. Back at home, ooh, speaking of aggression, ByuN is going for a 1-1-1. A very delayed third CC here, a much more aggressive build from ByuN. And he is not going for the add-on swap. Okay, so typically we would see an add-on swap here so we could have more Hellion production, but ByuN, he's continuing Marine production instead. I'm very curious as to what this is going to lead into. Okay, we're going for a very fast medevac drop. So ByuN is going to be moving out with a bit of a kitchen sink unit composition. He's going to have a lot of vanilla Marines, no stim, no combat shields. He will have a lot of Hellions as well, and that one medevac to support. We could try and throw down an armory, but I don't think this is going to be with Hellbats. I think just Marines and Hellions, especially without the reactor factory, I don't think it's worth committing into Hellbats. So here we go. The army is moving out. Hellions are on the ground. We have the Marines in the air. Behind this, we're getting into a Viking. This could maybe lead into something like a fusion core, but okay, we're not quite headed in that direction. ByuN looking to pull apart Dark. Here we go. We have Hellions on the right-hand side. Drones are going down. Again, good positioning here from Dark behind those mineral patches. He's going to get cleaned up. At the same time, we do have that Marine drop into the main. How many drones can we focus on? We get one. We get one drone, 3 in total. Not too bad. Not ideal. Back at home, ByuN is transitioning. He has his Viking to shut down the Overlord. He does have a third CC on the way, but again, it is a very delayed third, and I don't know if it was worth the delay. Is it worth having a late third in favor of getting 3 drones? I mean, he still has the medevac. He still has the Marines. He can still technically get more damage done. The Viking as well is getting 2 of these Overlords, keeping Dark in the dark. as he's headed towards some roaches. Roach production is on the way. Fun fact, last night, Dark did kill ByuN on Near Humanity with a roach push, with a 1-1 timing. So I'm getting a little bit of deja vu. As the Viking is still looking for more damage, the Marine drop looking to catch some of these tumors. As the center rocks were knocked down as well. Just to provide ByuN here with a little bit more of a safety net. As he's working towards 3 Raxes here on 3 bases. Sorry, 5 Raxes on 3 bases. Pretty standard setup from our Korean Terran. He is able to get quite a lot done though, with this Liberator at least. And again, things are going to be calming down. Dark just saturating his 3 bases. He's working on the center 4th, looking to try to take control of that center gas geyser as well for more roach production. We do have those 2 Evo chambers for 1-1. Unfortunately, we are just delaying +1 carapace a little bit, but it should be on the horizon here momentarily. And yeah, Dark, just like last night, is going to be building up a massive roach push. I imagine going to be going for around 70 workers. 3 base saturation is ideal, maybe 60, 66 or so, to go for this big roach push. But before that can happen, ByuN is here and he will deny the center base. Very good cancel out of ByuN. Meanwhile, does Dark have enough to really contest against this army? Oh, big transfuses on those roaches. That roach will not die. Dark will deflect this. But again, denying the center base was pretty important. And we can see that Dark is shifting gears. Because he's denied that rich specific gas geyser, he's going into an infestation pit. To me, that tells me that Dark is wanting to go for a longer game. Infestation pit does grant access to infestors, which means access to fungal growth, of course, which is a defensive tool. There it is. Bailey Nest on the way as well. It looks like Dark is setting up for a longer game. Double expanding. And ByuN is going to be safe to establish this 3rd. Tanks are in position. We even have vehicle upgrades on the way. Don't get to see those too often. But again, ByuN is just securing himself, and Dark is heavily droning. I mentioned earlier that because the center base was denied, I do think that it deterred Dark from committing to a big all-in. I think that was one of the things just kind of leading Dark away from that. And again, now he's going for a longer game. We have the Hive in production. We're going to be droning up to over 80 at this point. Soon to be over 80. And we are transitioning into Ling Bane. Melee Nest and +1 melee. So we're slowly going to be working and weaning ourselves off of Roach Ravager. Not too quickly, of course, because Dark needs an army. But we're working on it. Before that can occur, ByuN is working on his first big push. He has 3 tanks to his name, a lot of Marines. Bailings are not ready. But pushing up this ramp is going to be a difficult thing to do. Especially pushing into all these Ravagers, into all these Biles. Not going to be connecting, but a lot of Marines are being shaved off. The Infestors have arrived. A massive fungal on the army. Ugh. And ByuN gets cleaned up. Not one Marine survives. The tanks will go down, and this is snowballing out of control. From here, Dark, he could keep pushing, but he backs off as there is a drop across the map. This drop is keeping ByuN alive, as he only has 1 tank to defend and only a handful of bio units. But Dark, he smells blood. He's cutting workers at 75. We have Lings, nothing but Lings, nothing but Roaches on the way. A double drop is making its way across the map. Again, ideally this does force Dark back home. It is spotted, and Dark does turn around. Again, ByuN, he needs time. He desperately needs time to build up more tanks, to get a larger army. Hatchery is gonna fall. Oof. But the Biles take down a medevac. Meanwhile, back at home, that 1 tank is now 3. We have some SimCity. Another CC on the way, a fourth base being taken on location, a sensor tower. ByuN has a now we have 4 tanks, a much more secure position. Is it going to be enough? That's a kill, not a cancel on that CC. 400 minerals down the drain. Now that the tank line was shown, Vipers are coming out. ByuN is holding. Dark is max, but again, not the most efficient army. He also lost the hatchery, so doesn't have the easiest time getting into the late game. Good tank spread as well here by ByuN. Does mean that even if we do have Vipers, Blinding Clouds are going to have a hard time getting too much value. And we'll see if ByuN can hold on to his bases. Oh, once again, no planetary at the 4th. Only orbitals. Very greedy here from ByuN. Dark has been maxed for a while, but ByuN is about to max out as well. He has a very solid position. He's got a CC on the left. He's got a CC on the right. These, I imagine, would become planetaries. Just so ByuN can fortify himself. Very, very solid tank spread as well. It's going to be difficult to break this, and it may be wiser if Dark just expands. If he just takes more bases, techs up, and that's what he's doing. We have a Spire on the way, a 5th base. Sorry, a 6th base. Like, at this point, it's too late. Yeah, we can see even more orbitals, or sorry, more command centers being thrown down. It may just be too late to break this, but you know what? Darky's going to try anyway. Here, Blinding Clouds are thrown down. Baileys are rolling on in. Oof, and it looks like some of these tanks will fall, but not the best trade here from Dark. He is forced back. He was able to get, I want to say, 2 tanks. 2 tanks went down. The command center. But this is probably the most vulnerable position for ByuN. Just because he has to commit so many tanks over towards the left-hand side doesn't mean he has that much less to defend the right. Dark is getting ready. He wants to try to deny these bases if possible. Ghosts have arrived. Big snipes on the Ravagers. But again, the goal here is to bow down these bases. Doesn't quite get them. Looks like they are going to finish. And we see Dark is just attempting to refine his army. We have a Greater Spire in production is spotted. ByuN, he's already got Ghosts on the way. And he's taking that center base. Things are looking better and better here for ByuN. Yeah, and Dark has recognized this. Now he's accepted his fate that he cannot break this position. It is not going to happen, so he's just taking every base on the map. We have a Hydrogen, 3-3, speed, every single upgrade you can imagine. Dark is getting ready for a long one. And if you're in the chats, take this moment, hold on. Posture check, everyone. Make sure you're not slouching. Make sure you stretch, drink plenty of water. Decent bailing run by. Again, because this base isn't a planetary, 7 SCVs go down. You can get some snacks. Make sure you hydrate. Just literally every base is being taken. Every hatchery, sorry, every base location on the map now has a hatchery. Lurker Den on the way. Hydra upgrades. When it comes to the armies themselves, Dark does not have a good army to break entrenched positions, but he does have a good army that can swallow up ByuN if he moves on to creep. If ByuN attempts to move out, then Dark will be ready for it. Now, as time goes on, Dark does have to trade this out though. Oof, oh my god. Big piles on those ghosts. But eventually Dark will have to trade this out and refine his army for something that is better head to head. to actually break these positions, then that's going to be Infestors, Brood Lords, potentially Lurkers, but mainly Brood Lord Infestor. Again, for those wondering, the reason why Neo Humanity we see so much late game on this map is because of this reason. And it's also why Dark is expanding everywhere. This is a very defensive map. There are so many ramps, so many points of elevation that ByuN is just taking control of. So many choke points as well. Like, pushing up any of these ramps from Dark is going to be so difficult. And you can see turrets, tanks, towers, planetaries. ByuN is just really cementing his position here. Now, these bases that ByuN has taken are the easy bases to take. From here, bottom left should be his next target. This base also has a very narrow choke point, and you can take control of that. I do think it's going to be imperative here for Dark to start mining from the bases of his opponent. What I mean by that, it's Dark, he should be prioritizing mining from bottom left. This base here and this base here next to the natural of ByuN are very important to mine from now, because if he doesn't, ByuN will eventually kill these hatcheries and he will eventually take those bases for himself. And by the time he does, if you've already mined out even like 3 patches or even 1 patch, like, that's already worth it. But here we go. We just see Dark pushing through the center. Big blinding clouds on those Thors. Lingbane does get into the mineral line. Big connections, taking down a lot of SCVs. But we can see that ByuN will hold on. He did lose some workers, did lose a couple of ghosts. And as Dark loses Roaches and Ravagers, he's remaxing on Hydras, on more Lingbane. Now you can see ByuN, he's thinking about expanding here towards bottom left. Again, we mentioned earlier that is going to be the easiest base for ByuN to take. That's also why, again, Dark, I don't like that he expanded and that he took these bases, but he's not mining from them. And here we go, Dark pushing up this ramp once again. The Thors do keep him back. At the same time, a big Link counterattack here. Nice hold position in this mineral line. SCVs are going down. Meanwhile, ByuN, he rotates around, and even though there's a hatchery here, he's going to be able to clean this up and eventually expand. Oh my god. Bailing's on the way. Would you have a Nidus into the main? Let's try to catch ByuN out of position. Big piles on these Thors. Yeah, 3 Thors go down. Pretty big pickoffs. The Nidus is going to finish. The Lurkers. They're getting on top of the production. The Lurkers have arrived. Pushing up this ramp is going to be so difficult. It is so narrow. See, Dark trying to reposition. Is going to take down a factory, is going to take down some of these add-ons. More Lings are coming in. And 19 SCVs go down. Oh, it's a meat grinder. ByuN trying to push up this ramp. He is going to be able to. Oh, not even. Massive spine shots go off. Massive biles as well. As Dark has taken control of the main base. He's taking control of the production. This is a kill move for Dark, as ByuN cannot remax. Whenever he tries to, every unit goes down. At the same time, a Link counterattack here on the front lines, taking down these tanks. ByuN is being pulled apart. Despite having such a fortified position earlier, the Nidus changed everything. Everything was good until the Nidus arrived. And the tanks fell. No planetaries. Lings are getting out of control. They're getting into every single one of these center bases, even on top of that tank. One swift move, one Nidus is all it took. And that just opened the floodgates for Dark to snowball out of control. Otherwise, we would have been here for a much longer time. We would have been here for far longer. As ByuN, he can't deal with this. He cannot clean this up. More Bailings are coming in. They're looking to connect with the ghosts. Lurkers are being reinforced. Hydras come in. Yeah, and ByuN, he just cannot keep up. It is too much. And GG gets called. ByuN just cannot make an army here. Doesn't have the production for it. Doesn't have the economy for it. And Dark will take the series 2-1. GG. And again, that was almost a much longer game. If ByuN were able to shut down that Nidus before it got up and running, then Dark, he would have had to have gone into Broodlords, or, you know, try to whittle away at the forces, try to pick away at some of the fringe bases. We would have had a much more methodical kind of approach to that game. But the Nidus play was the game-winning move there for Dark. Everything just escalated very quickly. And just like that, GG. GG, well played. Congratulations to Dark, as he will advance on to the Grand Finals. GG. And we need to take this moment to get ready for it.